Hello everyone. Today we are starting with the topic cyberspace. Let me make you understand what actually the cyberspace is. What do you mean by cyberspace? Why are we studying this topic? Why it is relevant to our subject? So let us know what is cyberspace before knowing all the laws that are related to the cyberspace. Now, let me tell you when there is a change in time. When you talk about 1990 or the era before 1990, that is pre 1990, there you will see a pattern where people were not connected. Now in 1990, you will start seeing a pattern where people starts getting connected through information, right? After 2000, connecting people with people becomes popular, and thereafter in 2010, you can say everything is connected. So we will be exaggerating this with the topic, with this topic under cyberspace. Now, let me tell you what all things we are going to cover in this particular topic. First of all, I will be giving you the brief introduction, as in what do you mean by what actually the word cyberspace means, what all things are covered under the cyberspace. After that, I would be talking about the origination of the word cyberspace, and then I would be discussing about the cyber law that is applicable to cyberspace. We are studying cyberspace here in order to know that how cyber law is applicable to that particular law. After that, we would be talking about need for cyber law as to why in this particular situation we required a law known as cyber law. As you all know, there are various types of changes that occurs. Maybe it's political, economical, business, or maybe you can say technological changes. So because of the this particular concept of cyberspace, we required with something known as cyber law, and there is something that is something that we are going to study in this particular module. After that, as you know, we are going to study the jurisprudence about the cyber law. In jurisprudence part, we would be studying about the background as to why this particular law have to come into existence, like what were the requirements, what were the crimes, what were the mishappenings, what were the misevents that occurs in cyberspace, so that we required the law known as cyber law. After that, I will be making you understand what do you actually mean by cyber crime. Here we are talking about cyberspace, then we are talking about cyber law. So there is something known as cyber crime that you should understand. And then we would be relating all these three things: cyber law, cyber crime, cyberspace, and how we are going to make it applicable in particular scenario. Now let me also make you understand with certain technologically introduced words which are there in the IT Act, and they are being introduced after this particular law. Also, we would be studying about the misuses for which there was the requirement of passing a law that is applicable to the cyberspace. Now let me tell you the meaning of the word cyberspace in general. As you all know, cyberspace is the electronic medium which is interconnected through various networks in which online communication takes place, maybe officially or maybe unofficially. Clear? It is really identified that interconnected information technology required to achieve the wide range of the system capabilities associated with the transport of various types of communication that existed, and the control over the products and the services that are provided over the internet. When I talk about services, it may be internet services or maybe anything that you do online, maybe booking tickets or any type of services that you enjoy over the internet. Now, when you talk about the word, first time this word was used by the science fiction author William Gibson. He used this word in order to identify various resources that are available through computer networks. Now let me tell you, there are three types of cyberspace. Here I've used the word cyberspace. So here the computers can be used in three ways. So the first is target cyberspace. Now let me tell you what do you mean by target cyberspace. In this type of cyberspace, or you can say in this type of crime, basically what happened is the hackers or maybe the criminals, they try to hack, they try to target your computer, and they try to extract information or maybe any type of particular uh, misuse that can happen through that computer. Now, second type is known as tool cyberspace, in which the particular computer is used as a tool. Maybe if a person tries to commit a offense of hacking with some other computer, but that person will use your computer as a tool to commit that offense. Third one is computer incidental, where the computer plays an incidental part in the crime. An example, maybe I would be explaining this in the detail in the coming classes. Example of this would be like if you try to commit a murder, but in the history of your particular browser, it was found that you try to search about the murder weapons or anything in your or different types of poison in your computer. So here the computer has been used as incidental source in order to know who the criminal is. So this is all about the basic background or the of the cyberspace. Now let me introduce you with this particular topic. So before starting with the introduction of the particular topic, let me tell you, nowadays we are aware about the certain terms like Gmail, YouTube, Rediff, or maybe Orkut. All these things are very common in today's world. So before understanding the cyberspace, or before introducing you with the cyberspace, I would like to take you to the world that is known as e-world. So we are now living in the e-world that is dominated by the numbers of e. Maybe e-friend, e-music, e-network, e-ticket, e-commerce, anything that are related to electronic form. So now very soon e-service of notice in commercial matters of our Supreme Court. So here we are actually dependent upon the technology, and now we are becoming more and more dependent upon our technology. So recently, if you talk, our Supreme Court had decided to serve email notice in commercial matters. In addition to the regular notice, they are also talking about to cut down the delay in serving the electronic notices. So you are totally dependent on the electronic forms while serving your career, or maybe while studying, or maybe while in every scenario of your life. So now if you talk about cyberspace, if you talk about continuing things in the electronic form, there are certain types of disadvantages that you need to suffer. So here, if you talk about crime, if you talk about anything, if you talk about traditional courses like stealing things, or maybe when you talk about stealing money from a house, you can directly here go and steal money from the particular person's account. So here you are doing it through cyberspace. So advanced type of pickpocketing or advanced type of stealing may be through net banking or anything over internet. So now let me introduce you with this particular word or the particular scenario that is known as cyberspace, which is coined to know that all the cyber related things that are covered under this particular space. It's a virtual world, we all know that. Now technological growth is very speedy. Like while the technology brings a lot of good things, it also brings equal amount of risk and challenges in the person's life. So every day you read in the newspaper about the various types of crimes like credit card, maybe cloning, maybe phishing, maybe stalking. Just don't worry, we will be discussing each and every word that I just used in our coming classes. So now some of us are very much indulged in the online payments. We have stopped putting cash in our pockets. Rather, we are dependent on the online payments, maybe UPI payments, Paytm, etc. So some of the youngsters indulge in the misusing of the technology and get caught by the police authorities, right? So here the requirement of giving the laws that are applicable to such scenarios becomes very important. So if you talk about the recent study that has revealed that 80% of the cyber crimes under the corporate houses are committed by the insider persons. So they're totally aware, they know how to use this particular thing and how to commit theft or maybe crime towards it. And more than 95% cases are not reported because you do not know who the criminal is. Clear? So in order to know, we will be studying what the cyberspace is. Now, as you know, nowadays the term cyberspace has become very conventional, very popular to describe anything that is related to the computers, that are associated with the computers, or maybe that are there in any electronic form, that are related to internet, that are related to technology, or maybe anything. So here it is clearly stated, or it clearly includes, that means the word cyberspace clearly includes everything that is related to internet, maybe related to you can say websites, or anything related to networks, anything related to computers, anything related to storage, or maybe anything related to electronic devices, maybe cell phones, ATMs, emails, or any types of world that virtually exist. So cyber law is the law that governs the cyberspace. So now let me tell you what is cyber law in cyberspace, right? So before studying the cyber law, you should know it's a particular type of law that is only applicable to the cyberspace. And it is a very wide term as it includes all the words that I just used, maybe internet, email, storage devices, electronic devices, ATM machines, phones, etc. So cyberspace is very wide, enough to cover each and everything that I just discussed. So the internet, websites, cell phones, everything would be the part of cyber law. And this law encompasses the various types of conduct, that various types of ethics that has to be followed in that particular cyberspace while you're operating in the cyberspace. Like if you're putting something over the internet, what rights do you have, and what other persons have authority, or maybe what type of duty they should have before you, because you are the person who are being victimized in the particular type, in this particular type of law. So all the things that are there in the cyber law are something that is approved by the government, or maybe it is enforced in a particular territory with the permission of the government, and it must be obeyed by all. That means any law which is applicable in the physical world, if I'm using the physical world, or if I'm using the word traditional world, that is I'm talking about the normal law that is applicable to us in any type of crime. And now if I'm using the word cyber law, I'm talking about all the laws that are applicable virtually to us. Clear? So even if you're clicking OK over the internet, that means you are entering into a particular contract. That means the cyber law becomes applicable to you from that particular moment. Now, let me continue this topic with talking to you about the violations of the certain rules that will lead to certain types of punishments. We have IT Act applicable in India, where you will find different types of crimes, maybe under section 43, maybe under section 66. We would be studying it in the separate lecture, that talks about imprisonment, that talks about fine or an order to pay compensation, anything. So cyber law is wide enough to include any type of crime over the internet, which we call it cyber crimes. It also include electronics and digital signatures. Like if I'm using the words electronic and digital signatures, it's there in the section 3 of the IT Act, which is basically giving you the idea how this signature will work. Nowadays we have the concept of electronic signatures, and we are done away with the traditional signatures. So that those signatures cannot be forged against any other person, so this type of law would be applicable to them. Now if you're talking about intellectual property, so anything that is over internet, maybe a PDF, maybe a book, or any song that you play over YouTube, or any type of acting stars you see, all these things are there in the IPR. If you're talking about book, you are talking about copyright violation over the cyberspace. If you're talking about particular type of mark, you're talking about the trademark infringement. You're talking about a website, you will see various websites with the similar name. Somewhere it's written www.sbionline.com, maybe it's sbi1online.com, and the people gets confused. There are various things that happens over internet which looks exactly same. Like if you talk about web page, home page, they will look exactly same, and you will understand that you will be under the impression that you are following the page of SBI, the official page of SBI, but you will be directed to somewhere else and the fraud would be committed against you. So just to protect you, there are certain types of laws that are applicable to protect your IPR as well as the persons from to just browse those pages which are actually a fraud. Now last, here we would be talking about data protection and privacy, because you have all the data virtually feed, you have all your information. Aadhaar is the best example, or maybe your accounts, maybe your bank accounts, or maybe your personal accounts are there over the websites. Whenever you shop, you put your address, whenever you shop, you put your phone number. So all these type of data are protected over the internet, and this law, cyber law, would be covering all those. We would be reading each of them individually in the coming lectures. So this is a general introduction, because I am giving you the idea about the cyberspace and the cyber law over this lecture. Okay, so now before telling you about the need for cyber law in the cyberspace, let me just play this video. You just see this video. I will be explaining you what just happened in this video. Try to understand this.
चलो
सर मैं स्टेट बैंक से बोल रहा हूँ। आप संजय कुलकर्णी से बात कर रहे हैं?
जी बोलिए।
सर आपने हाल ही में आपकी सेविंग अकाउंट से कुछ बड़ा ट्रांजैक्शन किया है?
अंशुल, तुमने कोई बड़ा ट्रांजैक्शन किया है?
मम्मी की टिकट्स।
मम्मी की जी जी किया है। क्यों?
सर आपका अकाउंट सर सिक्योरिटी रीजन से ब्लॉक किया गया है सर।
अरे क्यों?
सर आपके सर केवाईसी डिटेल्स अपडेटेड नहीं है।
तो
आपका अकाउंट अनब्लॉक करने के लिए आपकी पर्सनल डिटेल्स चाहिए।
हाँ पूछिए।
सर आपका पूरा नाम?
संजय वसंत कुलकर्णी।
सर डेट ऑफ बर्थ?
12/9/78।
सर आप एक बार अपना एटीएम कार्ड नंबर कंफर्म कर देंगे?
एटीएम? चल मेरा वॉलेट कहाँ? एक मिनट नहीं, लेकिन हेलो, एक मिनट रुकिए। हाँ जी, 52 12x075।
सर आपका पिन नंबर?
होल्ड कीजिए।
जी सर।
मोबाइल में 15।
भाई साहब किससे बात कर रहे हो आप, और किसको पिन दे रहे हो?
बैंकर है।
अगर वो बैंकर है तो पिन नहीं मांगेगा। कुछ भी हो जाए, बैंकर आपका पिन नहीं मांगेगा।
कॉल किसी का भी हो, पिन, सीवीवी नंबर, ओटीपी, पासवर्ड और पर्सनल डिटेल्स ये किसी से ना शेयर करें। बी सेफ, नॉट।
So I hope you must be knowing about such type of frauds that exist in the daily life. What just happened in this video is that person get a call from some random number where that person is asking about its card details. So here what actually is happening, that the other side do not know about your account number, but they are trying to extract information from you, saying that they are calling from some particular bank, or maybe some services, maybe insurance services, where you will be getting certain types of discounts, or maybe free tickets, or maybe anything. So the persons get attracted to such offers, and they give all their information to that person. So here this type of frauds are committed over the cyberspace. Maybe by using that information, they will try to extract money from your accounts, because they have all your information now, anything. So just to make them aware, now the government is issuing various policies. Also there are various types of rules, or maybe various types of protocols are given under the bank, so that you will not be giving your account details to some person. So now let me tell you, there is a requirement of having a cyber law in cyberspace. So there are various reasons we are here studying cyber law, because it's extremely difficult to make applicable the conventional laws that were existing over the digital world. Now let me give you an example here. Like for example, if you're talking about the conventional laws, let's say Evidence Act. So if you are allowing any type of evidence that is in the electronic form, maybe a mail or maybe anything that is done over the internet, over the nowadays we have the concept of e-checks or anything through which the money is paid in the banks. So in order to make them applicable over the court, in the court, then what happened is you need to make an amendment over the Evidence Act. So here you're talking about, basically you're giving a general idea that how this documents, electronic documents, would be applicable in the criminal cases or maybe in the civil cases. So here we need a cyber law in cyberspace. Some of the reasons are that it's intangible in dimensions, and that provides extreme type of mobility, and maybe they are better than the conventional laws if you talk about the cyber world. So events taking place over the internet are not happening in the particular location, or maybe the participants are not physically present. So this is a very common feature of the cyberspace through which you require a cyber law. That means it's totally disrespects the jurisdictional boundaries. You don't know where the victim is, you don't know where the person who is accused is. It's just that the two persons sitting in any corners of the world and targeting each other, right? So cyber law is required. Also, when you talk about various types of efficiencies, various types of uh, any national boundaries, a person in India could break into the bank's electronic accounts, or maybe uh, the cards that are applicable in the USA with millions of money, and then all he need is one laptop and a cell phone, and it's done. Clear? So this is this here basically we are actually requiring the cyber law. Now let me tell you one more thing here. Cyber law is absolutely open for the participation by all. There is nothing like this law would be applicable to some particular person and this law will not be applicable to some other person, right? So a 10-year-old to an 80-year-old, maybe a grandmother without any record, without any type of information, may be targeted through this internet. Clear? So this was the all requirement of the cyber law, which is because here the persons are anonymous to each other. Clear? Now let me tell you, the cyberspace offers an enormous potential for the members to know to maintain a particular type of anonymity, readily available encryptions. Like there are software which will hide your information, there are software which will maintain your confidentiality of the information exchanged between them. So this type, so to avoid this type of mishappenings in the internet, we require a law known as cyber law. Clear? Maybe billions of dollars worth of can be taken from one's account over the internet, and maybe some person can be cheated over the internet. So this electronic information can be accessed by anyone over the internet. So to protect all these things that I just discussed, we require a law that is known as cyber law. So it is characterized by extremely mobility which exceeds far than the person, goods and other services. So international computer networks can transfer huge amount of data around the world, and the data can be misused, the data can be lost. So because of this, we require a law known as cyber law. So now I hope the need for cyber law on the internet is clear. So in the simpler words, in the general words, on the internet, it's very easy to create several copies or several transmissions of the information in the different locations of the world in few minutes, in few seconds. So for these reasons, the internet can be described as the world's biggest copy machine, and for this you require a law to regulate a law. So we have section 43, we have section 66 We have certain sections that talks about unauthorized access over your computers, over your phones under IT Act. Okay, so now talking more about the crimes that happens over the internet, that is the worth of crore rupees movies get pirated and they are released within an hour, or maybe you can say before the release date they got released over the internet. We have one very important case, or maybe the very famous case of Game of Thrones that you all must relate to. There is this channel HBO where you get all the episodes of Game of Thrones season 6 which were released before the release date. So this causes harm to various actors, the channels, the directors, the producers. So this is a total case of crime of piracy committed over the internet. There are other types of crimes, maybe books, papers that existed easily in the traditional provisions. However, in the electronic world, they can be copied easily. We all know the option of CCP. We all know how to copy the words of the other and give your name and get them published. So this is totally not allowed. Again, this is known as piracy, getting your work published, getting someone other's work to publish in your name. So this is totally not acceptable. So here the original information remains in the possession of the owner, yet the information gets stolen. So this is the greater, one of the best example that existed over the internet. Now we need to click and we'll get all the information of the other person to our account. So just to maintain the ethics of the researcher, or maybe ethics of the writer, or maybe the ethics of the artist, there is a requirement of protecting these things over the internet. What happened is, if you want to know something about some particular topic, or maybe something about uh, your subject, you will just type it on the Google and you will steal the words of some other person and you will publish it in your name. This is what is actually happening in this world. You actually have various types of CDs in the before there was the concept of click wrap, shrink wrap. Now you need to click and you will get every information within seconds. So just to avoid it, we are here studying the cyber law, and just to avoid it, we are here with the cyber law. Moving forward, giving you the general description. Cyber crimes are totally unlawful, no doubt we are clear about that now. Where I told you there are three things: where the computer are used as an incidental form, or maybe as a tool, or maybe as a target. So the enormous growth, the enormous information that is available in the electronic form, and the online trading, there is a fast growth of crime over the internet. Electronic signatures are used to authenticate electronic records. Digital signatures are used with different types of electronic signatures. I'll tell you the difference between the digital signature and the electronic signature, which is there under the IT Act. Of course, it's available. Digital signatures basically satisfy three major legal requirements that I just mentioned in the slides. That is the authentications, maybe the message authentication. There is something known as encryption. You must have listened this word. Nowadays WhatsApp is also providing you end-to-end encryption. That means nobody else between you and the person you are texting the will know what you are actually talking about. So just to know these things, this actually happens, right? The technology and efficiency of the digital signatures makes them more trustworthy than the handwritten signatures. Also, it's easily available. If you want to send a particular document, you used to post it, and in 3 days, 4 days the document is reaching, and then you are getting the reply. The lengthy process is shortened by just an email, just a WhatsApp, or just any type of e-activities that happens. So now you can exchange your information within seconds. So these all are things you can just come to the conclusion, or maybe you just balance the two sides. If you're using a particular world internet, you are also suffering a various types of loss over it. So just to maintain a balance, we are here coming up with the cyber laws, and we are dealing with certain types of ethics or the code of conduct that need to be followed while exchanging the information or while serving the internet, by putting the other person's by respecting the other person, and also at the same time getting protected by the others. So these two words that I just used, protecting the others and getting protected, are the major source, or are the major uh, reasons why the cyber law or the IT Act or the various other acts came into existence. There are various amendments that are made under the laws of the in India, like Evidence Act, IPC. These all things are being changed, amended with time through the various amendments because of the introduction of the internet and because of the validity of those documents that exist over the internet. I hope this is clear now. Now moving forward with the interesting topic, that is IPR and cybercrime. We have been studying about cybercrime. Now we are actually aware about the cybercrime. There is no doubt in it. Now let me tell you what IPR is in short and how these two things are related. IPR is intellectual property rights, or maybe intellectual property law, that protects you, that protects your intellect. That means that will protect your mark through trademark. Secondly, it will protect your copyright through Copyright Act. That means your artistic work or literary work or maybe dramatic work. And thirdly, it will protect your new inventions through patent. And there are various other types of intellectual property law, that is semiconductor, biodiversity. So here we are not that concerned with those. Here we would be concerning ourselves with majorly with what do you call it as copyright. So intellectual property rights, it basically refers to the human mind, that is any type of story, song, painting, maybe a drama, maybe any type of particular step that you do that becomes famous, maybe a book, maybe anything that becomes famous. It's your intellectual property. When you write a book, it's your intellectual property. You have a copyright over it. You have a right to possess. You have a right to stop others. Basically, intellectual property gives you a right to stop others from using your mark or maybe using your work. If I'm talking about trademark, that means you're stopping others from using your mark. Like for example, McDonald's. I'm from McDonald's or Bata or anything, Lakme, anything. And when I'm talking about copyright, I'm talking about book, I'm talking about story, I'm talking about painting. You can stop others from copying your painting. You can stop others from copying your idea of making. Like for example, if you're making a movie, if you're producing or if you're directing a movie, you can stop others basically from making a similar copy, or maybe copying your particular work. So this is intellectual property. So now you know what is intellectual property, and also you know what is cyber law. So now to let us make them together. So here, if I'm talking about cybercrime, that actually means it's very obvious that I'm talking about intellectual property rights over the internet. So all the rights that are available over the internet, maybe it's a trademark, maybe it's a copyright, but it should be related to the internet. That means here I'm talking about song, maybe that is available over YouTube, maybe here I'm talking about some types of ePDF that is available in the ePDF form in the internet, or maybe I'm talking about painting that is available online. Clear? So the facets of the intellectual property that relate to cyberspace, I'll be talking about certain things like copyright if I'm talking about particular software, particular computer related softwares or source codes. Now let me tell you what source codes are. Source codes are those codes through which the software is created. It's a back. Every software is consisting of two parts. The one that is visible to you, that you work on, and secondly that is actually the background, how this particular software is created. Websites, you see the websites whenever you browse over internet, you are directed through a website, and then you basically surf on them, or maybe you work on them. There are certain types of cell phone contents. You have various applications that nowadays to make your life easy. So no two applications can be same. There would be a case of copyright over them. So this type of things are covered under IPR over the internet. So I hope this is clear now. Now coming on to the softwares and course code licenses. You must be knowing whenever you have any type of software in your computer, you basically try to put us license. You see various type of antiviruses. You see Microsoft. These are types of licenses that you take. If you're using a pirated version, you are committing a crime. Now there is something known as domain names that I was talking in the previous slide. Whenever you see the words like bata.com, or whenever you see the words like sbionline.com, tatasky.com, this is known as domain name. This is a domain name but registered particularly to that particular company. So in order to protect that company, the people basically try to copy these famous names, and then they try to bifurcate the traffic of that particular website to their websites, and through which they earn money, or maybe they run a fake websites. You will see various types of similar websites available over the internet, but it's totally a trademark infringement of the domain names. And when you talk about the design, it's totally the copyright infringement. So now I hope you must be getting a little bit idea how this IPR works over the cyber world, and how this IPR is interrelated to the cybercrime. Now, when you talk about domain names, there is something known as cyber squatting. When one person try to copy your similar name, no two similar domain names can exist. So what they do, they either change a single word, or maybe they will, like for example SBI online, or they will keep online SBI. So they get this registered, and later they try to sell you. Like there's this case of Lakme, where lakme.com, where the spelling is Lakme, and then the spelling is Lakmi. So they were trying to sell this fake website to the original owner. So they are committing this crime of cyber squatting. So the cyber squatting is the best example where the IPR and the cybercrime both are covered. So I hope this is clear now. When you talk about patent law in relation to computer hardware, again, you are violating someone's invention which is totally new, which is not obvious, and the person's right is being violated.